Hey guys, welcome back to another episode Up and Running. Thanks for watching. All right, on today's episode, I get asked all the time where this car comes from, what the deal was with it. Was it running? Was it driving? Where'd you find it? Who'd you get it from? What the history on the car was, all kinds of things like that. So I figured we'd do that today. All right, so I've had this car a ton of years, way over a decade already. And this car was not a running, driving car when I got it. It was actually sitting in a barn for 26 years. So let's take a look at the journey. I know there's one other thing I was going to do. What was it? What was it? What was it? So back in the day, I did not really have a camera. I didn't even have a cell phone that had a camera. So I didn't do video or pictures of anything. So by freak, I did take pictures. I think I borrowed my wife's camera and I did take pictures of this. So I do not have any video of this being pulled out of the barn, but I do have some photographs. So let's take a look at those pictures and I'll narrate as we go through. I'll try not to yap too much, but there are some good stories associated with it and, for some of the history purposes. So let's take a look at it. All right, I know you're going to find this hard to believe, but this is a magazine car. Yes, this car has been in a magazine. So in a little bit here, I'll show you the magazine and show you the pictures and we can check that out. I've actually had two cars that have been in magazines, and I'll show you both of those real quick. So let's take a look at them. Okay, so here's the magazine. It's Muscle Car Review magazine. It's from June of 2013. So let me pull that open and we can take a look at it real quick. So there it is. There's a part of the article. And then on the next page or next couple of pages, there's a little bit more about it. So there you go. This is actually a magazine car. Proof positive. Then I told you I'd show you the other car that I had in the magazine. There it is, the background on my computer. But it's this one right here. Let me get rid of some of the glare. So that was a real big block 4-speed Impala, had a ton of options on it. It was a super nice car. Then there's one more picture of it here. I'm going to pop it in a different magazine, and it's the car on the right. So there you go, two cars in a magazine. Big deal, right? So this was the barn that the Super Bee was stored in for the last 26 years. I had no idea the car was back there. I had never walked back there. And I happened to be talking to the wife one day, and she said something to me about Robert's Super Bee. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute, what, Robert's got a Super Bee? And she goes, yeah, it's in that barn that's out of the back of the property. And I said, well, do you think he would sell it to me? And she goes, no, his mom bought that car new, so I don't think he'll sell it. And I said, well, do you mind if I go back there and take a look at it? And she goes, no, let's walk back there. So we walked back there. I took a look at it, and I asked her again, I'm like, so do you think there's any chance he would sell that car to me? And she said, well, I tell you what, we're going on vacation in a couple weeks. Let me work on him when we're on vacation, and I'll see what I can do, and I'll let you know. So I'm like, okay. So they got back from vacation, and she had called me up and said, I give Robert a Super Bee call. I think he'll sell you the Super Bee. So I did, and obviously he ended up selling it to me. So as you can see, the front left fender of this car was tight up against the wall. It was actually touching the wall. I'm sure it wasn't like that when they put the car in there, but when the tire went down, it kind of leaned over a little bit and was up against the wall. So I had to be pretty careful pulling it out that I didn't screw up that fender at all. But as you can also see, the mice and rats went through this car pretty thoroughly and made a big old mess of it. They ate all the wiring, all the soft stuff. You can see they ate the carpet out of it. I mean, it was crazy what they all did. So here I am starting to pull the car out of the building. Now the big challenge here was I couldn't line the truck up straight with the back of the Super Bee or with the car because there was a fence back there. So I was kind of pulling it a little bit sideways, and I had to be careful not to pull it into the side of the building. You can see here it's very tight. I mean, it's like right up against it. So it was a little bit of a challenge. This is actually the first time I opened the driver door of the Super Bee. So that was kind of interesting. I didn't know if it opened or not, and I wanted to see what it looked like from that side. So the guy in the blue is Ed, the guy with the gray hair is Robert. So his mom is the one that bought this car brand new. Apparently from the story that I heard is that this was a dealer demo car, and that when they wanted to get rid of it, one of the sales guys knew them and called them up and said, hey, we got a Super Bee that we want to get rid of, and we'll make you a smoking deal on it. So why don't you come on down and take a look at it? So that's kind of how it ended up in her hands. So everybody always goes, what happened to the side of that car? What's the deal with the big dents? Well, Robert told me the story. Back in the 80s, he had a girlfriend that was driving it, and back then the big 55-gallon drums that were used for road construction were actually 55-gallon steel drums. They weren't plastic like they are now. And she was driving it one night and hit one of those drums, as she was going down the highway in some road construction. So that's where that damage came from. Now, the Super Bee emblem on the back of that car is actually reflective. So at night, if you shine light on that, it reflects. So it's kind of cool. That key above the 383 emblem is for an alarm. At one time, this car had an alarm on it, and back in the day, back in the 70s, 80s, that was how you turned the alarm on and off. You put a key in it and turned it. So this is what the trunk looked like when I got it. You can see it had a lot of stuff in it. The big problem was I couldn't just take it out and throw it all away because there was a ton of good stuff in there. A lot of original parts, a lot of very small parts. So I had to dig through all of that. to find every little small tiny part that belonged to the car. And I'm so glad I did, because there was so much good stuff in there that otherwise I would have had to bought it new again. And of course, you know how new parts go. They're never as good as the originals, and they never, match like the originals do. So it was worth every second of it to go through it. Now, this car, it stunk so bad. I have never smelt a car this bad in my life. I couldn't even stand to be inside. I actually had to wear a mask when I was in there to hopefully help with the smell, and so I didn't get sick or anything like that from being inside the car. And it was crazy how long it took to get that smell out of that car. It probably took a year. It took me a whole year to get this car running and driving. That was always my goal on it, was right from the start, was to get this running and driving in a year. And it was basically a year to the day when I took it for the first drive. Although that drive was only about 50 or 75 feet, I did actually get to drive it. That one little hole that you see in the headliner was the only hole in the headliner, so I really lucked out there. I mean, all the seams were together. I mean, everything was in good shape, and it still looks that way to this day. Here you can see I've got that mask on, starting to work on the trunk. Like I mentioned, I had to pick through every little bit of that to get all the good bits out of it. What's funny in the interior is I got the interior all cleaned up, but you notice the seats are still in the car. So when I pulled the seats out, they were all full underneath the seat as well. So it brought a ton more stuff back into it. If you look, the distributor was left out of this engine when it sat, and the mice got in there, and actually that's probably why the motor got locked up, or at least, one of the possibilities. Really, the part in the engine that ended up being stuck was the rod for the fuel pump. That's what was holding it from rotating. This is where I pulled the back seat out, and all of that was under the back seat. So I felt like I had to start over again. The worst part about all the stuff that you see here is it was full of cactus spines. So when you would touch that, they were fairly fine, and they would just stick into your hands and gloves, and they would go through your gloves. So you couldn't just reach in there and grab a big handful of that. You kind of had to be a little bit dainty, or you'd shove those things through your gloves. And my hands hurt so much when I got done with that, just from getting stuck repeatedly with cactus. So this was actually really kind of funny. The day after I got done cleaning everything out, I came back to the car and there was more. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Where is this coming from? And I'm like, there is another rodent in this car, and we're going to fix him. So you can see he got fixed. So the one really nice thing was the floors in this car were super nice. There were no rust holes at all in the floor of this car. I mean, it cleaned up super nice. There's just a little bit of surface rust in a couple of areas, but the floors in this car are very, very good. So that was a pleasant surprise. The trunk just has a couple of little small holes in it, but nothing serious. I mean, I can crawl in there and stand on the floor in there without any problem at all. So the floors in this car are, in really good shape. As I mentioned before, the floors in this car are in really good shape, as you can see here. They're super intact, and they're very nice. Really, overall, this car has very little rust in it, especially for being a Mopar. I mean, a lot of those Mopars, if you watch any of those shows like Graveyard Cars or anything like that, there's hardly anything left of those cars. This one is in fantastic shape, so I'm super glad about that. That is just so cool that it's this solid yet. This is my son, Brendan. He had wanted to come down and help me with this, so he came down on the day when we were pulling the gas tank out, the engine, the transmission, all of that type of stuff. So I really appreciated his help, and he did a great job. So in case you're wondering, this is a numbers matching engine and transmission in this car. The kind of ironic thing was that I asked about it when I bought it, and I was told it was not, that it had a different engine in it. And it wasn't until I pulled it out and took a look at it, the serial number was right there stamped on the side of the block. And so I went back and I asked Robert about it sometime later, and he goes, what I think happened was at one point I blew up the original engine. I took it out. I traded it for a new engine, and some cash, I'm sure, to a friend of mine. And I never thought twice about it, and then I blew up the engine that he gave me and asked if he had another engine. He said, yeah, I do, and he sold me this engine. I just put it back in the car, never looked at it, never thought about it, and it turned out that he sold him, he must have rebuilt his original engine and sold it back to him, so it's still all number matching. So right here you can see I'm pulling the whole drivetrain out of this car, all the suspension, everything. Basically in this car, it got all new wiring, it got, anything soft, any of the rubber bushings, anything that made the suspension or the drivetrain work, all got replaced. I went all out, I didn't spare anything, and I wanted this car to run and drive like it was a brand new car. But I wanted it to look old. So that's essentially what I got. So if you look, there's new bushings in there. There's new tie rod ends. There's, all the stuff that normally wears out got replaced on this car. So that's also one of the reasons why, however many years later this has been, this car is still very reliable and I can still take it anywhere. I've had a few things come up in it that, like you would with any car, but for the most part, it's still super reliable, and I have no problem taking this car anywhere. It's got a 323 Sure Grip in it, so that's nice. You can spin both back tires at the same time. That's the original carburetor for it, so I obviously went through that and, got that all working and, made it runs very well on that carburetor. I have zero complaints about it at all. You can see it was pretty dirty on the inside, though. I didn't take the dash out of the car because I would have had to take the windshield out, but I took everything out from behind the dash and went through all of that, made sure all the duct work for the HVAC was in there and in good shape and working. I had to replace some of it. This is an air conditioning car, and I made sure all of that worked as well. This is when I got the engine back from the engine builder. I was just cleaning it up so I could paint it. You can see everything on the firewall is new. When I got the car, it had a disc brake booster in it, and so I went back to the original drum booster because this is a four-wheel drum car. I put this car back to, just the way it rolled out of the factory as best I could. New gas tank, new shocks, all the bushings in the suspension were replaced. They don't look like they were done in that picture yet, but they got done. There you can see the new engines sitting back in there. Not done though yet. I think this was the first time the car came down off the lift after all the suspension got done on it. And the first time it, sat on it the way it is with all new everything in the suspension. So this was a fairly low mile car. It had 22,000 miles on it when I got it. And you can see the seat's not worn. It's just the mice ate all the foam out of it. Now that being said, the foam was also very old. So when I did the seats, I replaced all the foam in them and, everything like that. So they, are all new materials and they're comfortable and everything like that. I made sure to find the correct fan for it. It had an incorrect fan, so that, works as it should. I had to get a new drive shaft. There was no drive shaft with it. The wood grain on the center console had some stains in it, so I put new inserts in that console. I also upgraded this to electronic ignition so it would be more reliable and I didn't have to worry about points. Here you can see the seats are all done and they look nice and comfy, cozy. The top part of the seat, the headrest, is the originals yet. They were in great shape, so I just reused those. But everything else on the seat got recovered and new foam. The metal inserts in the back are original yet. And this was kind of when I was going through the car and getting it all cleaned up, starting to make it look all purty and whatnot. The reason a lot of people ask me, why did you not fully restore the car? And the reason was that red Impala that I had that you saw earlier in this video, that car was super nice. And the thing about that car was I was terrified to drive that car anywhere, and because I was afraid it was going to get a rock chip or somebody was going to hit it or, something like that. And so I just didn't want anything to happen to it. And so I'm like, when I get my next car, it's not going to be that nice so I can drive it and not worry about it. I take this car to Home Depot and park it in the parking lot, things like that. And it's really nice because I don't have to worry about it. It's dirty half the time. Again, I just don't worry about it. I just drive it and enjoy it like a regular car. So there's a lot of the interior that is very original in this car yet, like all the door panels, the trim on the doors, everything in the dash, as far as like the soft parts and the plastic parts of the dash is all original yet. The headliner's all original. The console is all original except for those wood grain inserts, which I mentioned. The headrests on the seat backs are original, so probably about half of the interior or a little better is still original from this car, and I did not replace it. I rewired everything in the dash. The whole car got rewired. I think there's only a couple of harnesses that did not get replaced, like the dome light harness was in great shape, so I left that alone. But anyway, so there's a lot of originality to this car yet. So I had asked Robert, what was your favorite thing about this car? And I had to laugh when he gave me the answer. He said, going over 100 miles an hour with it. I thought that was pretty funny. That's what it was meant for back in the day. All right, well, that's going to wrap it up for this episode Up and Running. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to come back next time.